Hi all, this is Ashish Kyal here. Welcome again to Elliott Wave channel by Ashish Kyal Trading Gurukul, learning series by wavestrategy.com, and we are going to talk about Nifty, how it is looking at. On the request of many, I am going to speak about Bank Nifty also, because Bank Nifty has been the index which has been drastically underperforming. If you look at how the Bank Nifty has performed compared to how Nifty has done, so Bank Nifty has been an drastic underperformer. And we are going to look at what happened with crude, what happened with gold, especially in such times. We have seen a crash in crude prices. Now, when do you expect and see a negative crude price? When do you think that happens for the historic moment? Will you believe if someone would have said you about a week back? Tell me honestly, will you believe that you can take as much as crude as possible, and you are also going to be paid for taking away that barrel of crude? I mean, that is a historic time. These are the areas I can clearly see. A lot of you are saying not at all, absolutely right, because you are being paid for a commodity, because that's something very, very interesting. Why do you think that happened? WTI crude has turned negative. It settled at negative $37, and negative $37. Can you imagine? Can you beat that? And this has resulted into a chaos in India, especially because the commodity exchange MCX was closed at 5, I suppose 5 or 5:30, and the prices started crashing post 7 in US, and it turned negative. The margins that was taken by the exchanges was to the extent of 100% to the value, because no one ever dreamt that crude can go negative. And we saw crude prices crashing down to negative 37. And then the next day when MCX opened, there was chaos. Then where to at what levels to settle the price, because they will not have sufficient margin to take from the people who were long the long side, and they are liable to probably pay for the positions of the people on the short side. Now that's something very, very interesting, right? You are so Nikhil is saying it's going to be told across by my grandchildren about in future. Absolutely. This day, this week, I would say, will be given example historically for years to come, maybe centuries to come, not only years, that it is possible. Financial asset can trade in any possible territory, right? You would not even would have wondered in your lifetime something that like this is possible, and in centuries this day will set an example. So we are in a historic event. People are going to talk about this pandemic, ongoing pandemic. They are going to talk about crude. They are going to talk about financial markets, and this is a historic event that we are living into. So we should probably be enjoying something like this, that we are witnessing an history in making, and not cribbing about it. If only I would have been short on crude, I would have made on one lot of MCX crude futures, you would have ended up making what, 2.5 lakh, if only you were short. Probably, if you look at it, if only you were on the long side of the crude, thinking that how low can it go from $10 NYMEX to $5 to $0 and negative 37, how low can it go? Now that beats all the normal economic understanding of how crude behaves and how it goes on. So that's the problem with the financial current financial model, right? It's something that you can never ever imagine would be possible, and it happens. A similar scenario happened in 2008 when I was working with Lehman. It went on falling all the way, and we thought how low can it go, and it went to few cents. In fact, the company defaulted and still it traded for few cents. It did not went below zero. And over here, the commodity, which is a used commodity, will be used in the future, goes below zero. The only reason being you have no place to store it. That was the major reason. If you have no place to store it, you have no place to dump it, what are you going to do? There is nothing that you can do about it, and the only option left for you is to probably square it off as soon as possible, so that you are not liable to buy it in a physical quantity. And that's what resulted into a sharp down move. The biggest blunder that people started talking about on that very day when it happened few days back was that this is the current expiry which has gone to negative. we are still, there is nothing wrong with anything. It's the current expiry because we are running out of the storage space, and the next month expiry is still trading much higher. Crude at that point in the next month in WTI was trading at around, I think, $20. It went to again very low levels, and everyone started talking about now the current month expiry crude. What makes you say that we are not going to run out of the storage space in the current month expiry of crude? What makes you say that? And the exchanges are now coming out with the idea that we are going to charge 300% margin for your long positions on crude. That's something very, very phenomenal happening, and they are actually wanting you not to trade in crude. An exchange wants that you should not trade in crude, and they have no solution to this problem because the current month also crude can run out of storage space. So it's not the demand which is not picking up. The other logical reasoning for me to look at it like a oil glut, like the demand not picking up, the other logical reasoning for me is that it's absolutely nowhere to be sold, because even the oil marketing companies that imports crude oil and sells it across have no space to keep it, and oil marketing companies continue to move down sharply even after crude prices crashing below the $0. Can you imagine that? Now, oil marketing companies did extremely bad because the crude prices were rising earlier, but now the oil marketing companies did even worse because the crude price have fallen so much that there is absolutely no demand globally, and they know they have nowhere to sell their products. So this is demand driven glut that we are looking at, not the supply alone. There is absolutely no demand, which is resulting into crash across the globe for the energy prices, and this is not a very, very promising sign. I'm not going to blame this across only on the pandemic. I do understand the issue. I do agree with the fact that economy has come on the standstill globally, but try to understand the other aspect of it. People will justify the elevated levels of equities given the fact that it's going to anyway start, things are going to pick up, next month contract is going to be good, and all of these things are going to happen. But trust me, demand is not picking up, and it's not sending a good sign. I think we are going to be in for another round of downward spiral very soon. If we break that support level, which I'm going to publish in my daily morning research report, if we break that level on the equity, on Nifty, we are again going to be in for that downward spiral, which is going to be a chaotic sell-off. You do not know how much of unrest the crude prices are going to create across Middle East, in the US, and it's going to result into an energy war, not because of the price rising prices, but because of the crashing prices. It's going to result into a chaotic world that we know it as of now. The only thing is we are waiting for the pandemic to cool off, and once that cool off, the heat is going to take, not for the pandemic, but because of the energy space that you are looking at right now. So be aware, stay alert. This is not the time to be complacent. You can clearly see that the VIX has come down on the Nifty. If anyone tracks volatility index, do you people look at volatility index, that it has cooled down from near around 87 levels to sub 40 levels? And I think we are going to again get slowly and steadily, that's going to rise back again. Now the rising VIX is not going to send across a good signal again. People are now getting complacent. They are thinking that we are back above 9,000 level, we are trading in a range, and post that we will positive breakout will happen and things like that. And a few are simply wondering what went wrong, why is Nifty rallying? There is absolutely no reason. I told many times on my webinar, if you follow me on my YouTube channel at the rate Kyala Ashish, I have told so many times that if only news drive the market, we would have made millions very easily. It is the market that results into the news. So for example, if the market closed negative, you will see the negative news follows. If market closed positive, you will see the positive news follows. So the news is not driving the markets, but it is exactly the opposite, that the market movement results into the news later on. And that's what we will see how it pans out. And we will see the Elliott wave pattern also, how it pans out from here on. So let me share across my chart and share across my screen on what looks probable on the crude prices first, and then we will jump to gold, and then we will look at Nifty in the coming week. I'm going to look at crude. So if you look at crude over here, and you can see my screen right now, I have plotted crude May futures, and it's currently trading at 1300 levels. Now let us look at a daily chart of crude and see what went wrong. It has continued to crash from such high levels. Can you see that? Can you see that? Now, if I have to ask you in a simple layman's term, what is the overall trend of this specific commodity? What is the trend? What is the direction of the market? Can you tell me? Very quickly, can you tell me what is the direction of the market over here? What do you think is the direction for crude? Right from the top, what do you think is the direction for crude? Is it going from the top left corner to the bottom right, or it's going from the bottom left corner to the top right? As I can see many of you, Dharmesh, Anu, Nikhil, Nagesh, everyone, it's downwards, right? Do you need me to tell you that it's a downward trend? In a downward trend, tell me one logic. What do you think is the easiest way of trading in the direction? What is it, down or is it up? When do you think is the maximum amount of time being spent by the commodity? Is it going down? Is it going to spend more amount of time, or is it by going up? So don't you think it's going to be easy that it's going to be going down, that you are going to find out more amount of time spent? So if that is the case, we need to identify whether we are in a third wave on the downside as per Elliott wave pattern, or we are in fifth wave, and that is going to give us a clear cut outlook whether we should be riding that fifth on the down or expecting a reversal and start riding a reversal on the up. The easiest way for anyone to look at the Elliott wave pattern is to understand, is the current fall produce the maximum momentum, or is it giving a positive divergence with respect to the prior fall? For few of you who understands what is momentum and looking at an RSI, if you can see it on my screen, looking at an RSI, can you tell me that what do you think is the overall movement of the market on basis of RSI? Do you see that it has resulted into a maximum momentum on the downside or not? The RSI reading, this is an hourly chart, the RSI reading went to as much as 3 or 4 points on the downside. So do you see any kind of a positive divergence? Do you understand the divergence? A positive divergence means that you are slowing down, but absolutely there is no positive divergence on RSI, and it is very normal to identify that wave 5 and wave 3 produces normally a positive divergence. Since we are not seeing any kind of positive divergence as of now, there is a high likelihood that we are in third wave right now in crude. So if this is the third wave, we are only seeing a fourth wave, and it's just going to go in a range for some time. And again, the downward trend should resume. If crude is going to go down, so is equity going to go down eventually. So since there is no positive divergence we are seeing on the RSI, I think the crude prices are again going to resume the downward spiral once this pullback is over. So do not buy the crude. I think we are going to head back lower. Also, one very important aspect, this Elliott Wave channel is from the learning perspective. I'm not giving you any trade that you should take from tomorrow. For that, you need to get access to my daily research or the advisory calls. This is a free channel, and nowhere an advisory call I'm giving here. I'm just talking about the trend of the market and what it looks like based on Elliott Wave patterns. Okay. Let's look at gold right now. And yes, if crude prices are going down, this is pointing towards deflation. Not in India maybe, but globally. Why do you think US is pumping in so much of money through quantitative easing, trillions of dollars? They are doing this in the name of pandemic, but they know if they don't do it, they are headed for a much, much bigger deflation than Japanese economy has faced for 4 decades. So they have to avoid this kind of an deflationary pressure, and that's the reason they are pumping as much money as possible. Will interest rate go down in India? Also, absolutely. There is nowhere else. It definitely can't go up. So the only place it can go has to be down, because India has to fight this deflationary pressure of global economies, which is happening, and eventually India is going to face the heat. It is going to face the heat. We can't be isolated from what happens in the global markets. So the government securities are a good investment. Jai, I'm not going to comment that right now, but you can probably drop an email on helpdesk@wavestrategy.com and we can discuss it over there. Brent crude does not look like fifth done. I think we are still going down. I am not expecting to be fifth over in such a fast, sharp momentum. I think we are going to go down. Rahul, so fifth is not yet over. Let's look at gold. I will have to look at gold. Now look at it. Now tell me, what is the overall trend for gold? What do you think? Is it going from the bottom left to the top right? Is it, so what is the overall trend? It's like it's going from an uptrend, right? So you look for a buying opportunity in this kind of a market. I'm not saying, I'm not giving you a buy signal. You need to look for dips. Dips to where? Probably an Ichimoku, apply an Ichimoku cloud. Any dips to the cloud, look for buying opportunity. Apply a super trend or apply an ATR and apply those kind of possible technical methods that is going to give you a signal. But look for buying opportunity in gold because we are heading still higher. The day we see a lower high, lower low, we will know that the gold is started moving lower. So gold looks like for me to be moving in the fifth wave on the upside. We will see how it spans out over next few days. But yes, I'll be riding gold on the upside from here on. And you can already see that there is a very, very huge debate about what happened with Franklin Templeton. It's crazy. It's going to spread across for sure. Arvind, you are very much in sync with what I am thinking. I think it's going to spread across. It's not going to end so soon. The Franklin Templeton 6 debt funds have been stopped, and that clearly shows credit default risk that each of these funds are facing. It's a chaotic market right now. The financial markets, the way we know it, are probably going to change. Things are not going to be same again. I have seen 2008, things were not the same again. Even now for investment banks and for the financial markets, especially commodity and bonds, things will be very different. Will banks be safe? I am not commenting on the banks, but I am not buying PSU banking stocks for sure. The reason being, in the current rally from Nifty 7,500 to 9,400, 300 levels, PSU banks are trading absolutely at the zone of when Nifty was 7,500. Simply imagine if Nifty crashes again, where do you think PSU banks will head? So I'm not going to be buying PSU banking stocks. I am not sure which banks are safe, Chad. That's not the question. I'm not an expert on that, but for sure I'm not buying PSU banks stock as of now. So let's now look at, we've seen gold, we have seen crude. Let us go back and check what's happening with our own Nifty. What is the overall trend and where are we headed? Why we are not falling with the market? Which wave pattern we are into? Let us look at those things also. And let me just go back and check Nifty right now. Okay, Ujjwal, you bought gold on 23rd March. That's brilliant. I mean, you did some excellent trade for yourself. I'm assuming that. And you are making some decent profit. So I would suggest you book half and trail the remaining. That's the best way to capitalize on the trend so that you are in the trend until and unless you see a close below the prior day's low. Follow that method for your position and capitalize on the ongoing trend usual. That's the best way to do it. Okay, let's look at the chart of Nifty right now. And if we look at Nifty, it has been simply drifting on the upside. There is absolutely no doubt about it. It's just not going anywhere. Look at it. Look at the entire collapse on the downside. I think it is forming an ending diagonal or a terminal pattern. And in that, we are already moving in the zone of the fifth wave. That's what it looks like. It's just dragging on the downside. And look at the overall movement. We completed A, we completed B on the down, and this is C. The internal structure of this terminal pattern, I will be disclosing that in my morning research report, the financial wave short-term update at wavestrategy.com. So you can get access to that, in which I will be mentioning crucial support levels for Nifty. But since you are here right now, I'm going to say I'm not buying this market. I will not buy this market unless and until I see a strong momentum back above 9,500 levels. And if you have followed me over past 2 weeks, I've been constantly saying the same thing. And Nifty has been failing to cross about that level even now. So that's what I'm looking at. The entire fall was the first leg of the correction. We are seeing retracement, probably in the form of a B or an X wave. And post this completion of a B or an X, the C or the next leg down should start. and one has to keep a close watch on the key support levels for that to happen. So Nifty is moving in the form of a terminal pattern, what we call in NeoWave, and we had fantastic session on NeoWave in the past week itself, and I talked about a lot of concepts on 18th and 19th of April, and it was simply fantastic. A lot of you I can see here are from that new wave class, and this is brilliant. I'm assuming you have started applying that class, what you learned, and you are making some very good trading decisions for yourself based on the learning, especially when you see that there has been a slower retracement. So two-stage confirmation has been the key, and it has worked out extremely well. So let me again go back to Nifty and explain you what is happening on Nifty. We think it's a C wave right now. I'll not be surprised if it start crashing again very soon. Next week, Monday is going to be very important. The key level I'm going to keep a watch on is 9,500 on the upside. The support level, you will have to refer the research report for that. And someone asked me what's happening with Bank Nifty. Now look at Bank Nifty chart. That's very interesting. In fact, if you look at the high made by Bank Nifty on 27th of March, Bank Nifty has not even taken out that high. Nifty did take out that high, but not sustaining there, and Bank Nifty is still not taken out the high. So Bank Nifty looks like forming a triangle pattern. It's just stuck in a range in the form of a triangle, and everyone knows who know NeoWave, triangles are normally a continuation pattern. And if it continues and the support trend line of the Bank Nifty breaks, it's going to be a disastrous move. So if the Bank Nifty breaks the support trend line, we are going to go further down on the downside. So I'm keeping a close watch for on a Monday, and I'm going to see how markets are going to behave from here. So can you brief me up on what we discussed so far? What is the trends? Can you tell me what is the trend for crude? Everyone, what is the trend for crude, and you should be looking for which opportunity right now? Are you with me? Is it very easy way of looking at the market? Okay, brilliant. So I can see Ravi, Prashant, Jaydeep, Utkarsh, Jay, Nikhil, Sazi. Absolutely, everyone is brilliant in identifying that. What is the trend for gold right now? Do you remember what is the trend for gold? Gold is still up, up and away right now. I'm not saying that I will be bullish on gold throughout the month. I'm saying from trading perspective for a Monday, I look for buying opportunity unless and until I see that the fifth is over and the next leg on the downside has started. If that happens and I have a two-stage confirmation as per NeoWave, I'll probably short gold, but for now, there is no such indication. And there is no momentum divergence on crude and gold for now. Once the gold turns down, then we will start seeing a divergence. The blunder people do by looking at RSI is even before prices reverses, they say there is a divergence. Let prices reverse, let RSI reverse, and we will see that. Can you tell me what is the trend for Nifty? Can you tell me what is the trend for Nifty? What do you think is Nifty happening? And don't tell Nifty is down because I am telling you, but you look for yourself and look at it. It's drifting higher. There is just no momentum. And when it falls, can you see the gap? It falls by 150 points on downside. Today again 140 points on downside. But if it goes up, it goes drifting higher slowly, slowly and slowly. But when it falls very fast. So you should be looking at Nifty is currently sideways, and break of the support is going to result into a downtrend on Nifty. And what is Bank Nifty for you right now? And look at the Bank Nifty. Can you tell me what is the trend for Bank Nifty? This is an hourly chart of Bank Nifty, and can you look at that hourly chart and look at what is happening with Bank Nifty? Absolutely range bound. It's just not doing anything. And if the support levels breaches on Bank Nifty, we are going to give a detailed research on Monday morning on Bank Nifty. And if the support level breaches on the Bank Nifty, you are going to see some serious selling can start. Now, on a Monday, suppose if we have a big gap up opening on Nifty going beyond 9,500, Bank Nifty going beyond 21,000, I will change my stand. Don't hold me responsible. I do look at the market. I read the charts, and I will change my stand. I'll change my trade setups, and I'll change my trading positions if there is something like this happens. And that's what every trader should be open to do and admit that they were wrong. The problem is most of you can't admit that you are wrong. If I go wrong, I'll say I went wrong, and this is something else which is happening. because I am not looking at markets 100% probabilistic. I'm looking at 90% or 95% probable scenario at times. At times, I'm not sure what's happening. So that's admitting that markets are supreme and you need to respect that. That's brilliant, right? And that's what I am saying to each one of you. Use your methods. If you are wrong, put a stop loss. If it does not go the way you expected, you are out with a small risk. But if you are right, ensure you make a killing by following the trailing stop method, which I suggested to, I think, Jay or someone who had a position on gold. I said, follow a trailing stop method and keep riding it. Don't go against the trend. That's the simplest way of looking at the markets. So that's a brilliant thing. So before we now move on further for Q&As, I'm going to share across a quick recap on about what I'm going to talk about in mentorship June 2020. If you go to wavestrategy.com, you will see mentorship program June 2020, and this is going to be starting in June. A lot of things will be covered over the period of 3 months time. You can simply click on it and you will get a lot of information for June 2020. The early birds end on 10th of, I think it should be May, it shouldn't be June. That's an error. So we will make 10th of May, the early bird will end. So you need to register before 10th of May for the June 2020 program, and you will get all the details of what is going to be covered for this mentorship. And the existing mentorship batch has done fabulous. I'm sure I'll be more than happy to share across their testimonials with you the next time, and you will see how they have been able to apply these things so well across the time frames. And here is a quick glimpse for the people who were on the MOW batch. I have uploaded on the events page of the MOW batch, and you can simply go here and see your images. So whoever were there for the batch, please see here, and you'll be amazed to see how well it was received and how well it went during the MOW 2 days online session. And here are your picks. So do share it across, do share the page. I can see so many of you all joyful and happy in this picture. So that's fantastic. And I'm sure most of you are also in this webinar right now, attending this webinar. So that's brilliant. It's an online class. It's not offline. We can't do an offline class. It's an online mentorship batch. Every program will be online. The way we are doing it now, we will be creating a separate batch. A lot of things will be happening there. So we will be having discussions, which is going to be online, 3 Saturdays, 3 hours each Saturday. You will be attending MOTA, MOW, a lot of those things as well. So you will be online during the mentorship batch, and we will look at a lot of things happening. Okay, so what is next? Q&A. So let me take a few questions. I'll not be able to take much, but do register yourself. If you want to register for the mentorship, you can visit here and call on 99204 22202, and that's how you will be able to get all the details. And the early bird ends on 10th of May. That's something wrong. We'll have to get it rectified, not 10th of June, 10th of May. And questions. So okay, I can see a few questions. Let me just stop my screen sharing. And also this webinar will be available on the YouTube channel @KyalAshish, on the Telegram. You can share across or like the Telegram channel Ashish Kyal Trading Gurukul. Join there and you will be able to see. It's called AK Trading Gurukul, I suppose, and you will be able to get a lot of updates over there. Okay, I'm not going to talk about specific stocks like HUL and Colgate, multi-year top out. I'm not going to comment on that, Parag. For that, you'll have to refer the research report. And breaks the line, Sazi, I think Nifty can break the support trend line anytime soon if it breaks. So we will have to see. Sideways markets are very tricky. Time cycle suggests that we should start moving on the downside very quickly, but we'll have to wait and check. Jayesh, my team will get in touch with you and they will explain the entire process for registering for the mentorship program. And why yields are still high when the interest rates are pointing down, please clarify. See, it's a very tricky scenario when you look at the entire bond market. We have not seen such kind of a bond market earlier, such kind of a credit risk earlier, and we are clearly expecting that the bond price will continue to rally eventually. The reason being the yields are still at a higher level because of the credit risk See, the yields are not driven only by the interest rate. Try to understand. There is a credit risk as well involved when you have to calculate a bond price. So it's driven by the interest rate and the credit risk. And the credit risk you can see is very, very challenging. That's why the yields are higher. Nifty to gold ratio, yeah, that's a fantastic way of looking at Nifty in terms of gold. How are we doing? How do we perform Nifty in terms of real money and real scenario? So what I will going to do in the upcoming monthly research, that's a brilliant idea, Vinayak. I will be covering Nifty in terms of gold, how it looks like, whether we are really moving anywhere in terms of gold. And I'm sure Nifty in terms of true currency, which is gold, we have drastically underperformed the group. So we will do that. We will see that. Jatin, my team will get in touch with you for advisory service. And 7511, Nikhil, I will not be able to comment on that. We will see how the fall starts. So we will have to wait and watch that. Time to buy USD INR and gold. I've told about what to do with gold. INR, I think, will be headed towards 79 eventually. That's my take on INR. On Elliott Wave, what's the best way to start with Elliott Wave? Saravanan, I think the best way is you can get access to my Elliott Wave video links, 6 hours of Elliott Wave. You can do that, and if you are comfortable with that, probably go for MOW. That's the best way that you can learn, and my team will be explaining on that. Okay, and I think that's it from my side. I will not be able to take any more questions. Thank you everyone for the wonderful participation and Q&A. For any queries, you can please drop an email to helpdesk@wavestrategy.com or post on the traders forum at wavestrategy.com. And for the mentorship and advisory, you can get in touch with us on 9920422202. The mentorship patch is going to start in June. Early bird ends on 10th. Do register before that, and it's going to be fantastic for 3 months. The current batch is enjoying the best period they are having with me, and I'm sure you are going to enjoy it too. And for becoming a disciplined trader, so it's not only for fun and entertainment. Become a disciplined and a better trader for a better tomorrow. Stay safe, stay back home, and do not travel out. We are going to be locked for, I don't think we are going to be opening up soon. It's going to be extended, at least in Mumbai. I'm not sure about everywhere else. Thank you very much.